let's we're gonna tie like a few different stories together. If you have not heard about the 62 million men and the husbands raping their wives, start there. And I'll put two links in the description box to women who covered this story because I think that this story is a really important story. The reason that I think this is an important story, and actually this started for me a little bit different, but then other people just kept sharing as well. So basically, it looks like CNN put out a report in March, actually. So the women who are talking about it right now are kind of late. Oh, this is Carrie Issa Berry, named after Kerry Washington and Issa Rae. This is Michael C. Jordan. He's adorable. He loves me. Okay. Anyway, so where was I going? Yeah. So there was basically a woman who came online. She's like the community channel on Instagram, but her name is like Anna something. And I'll put her link or her post in the description box. But she shared the video of a different girl who shared her experience of being raped by her husband. And basically what happened is he'd been giving her these drugs, like this sleeping medication. He'd been sneaking it into her drink every night. And so she would like all the way pass out. And then when she would pass out, he would like sleep with her, right? So that is rape because there's no consent. And it opened the conversation for me around this idea, which I do feel like a lot of women are confused around, especially like the immigrants and the women from the developing world. They don't understand that just because a marriage happened, that does not take away or invalidate the need for consent. Every time a new instance of intercourse or any sort of relationship happens between a man and a woman, whether they're married or not, there needs to be consent. So a woman, a person, can take away that consent at any time. So let's say on Monday you feel like being intimate with someone, but then on Tuesday you don't. You have the right to say no. That's the whole point of consent. So the reason that this is important is because like or the 62 million men conversation, I think opens up a window for women to kind of understand the transactional nature of men in the world. Like men are marrying women to get full-time access to women. Like, so they're saying, I am proposing to you. You are now my, woman property. And so this is why 62 million of them are coming online to say it's okay when they go to sleep, we'll just grape them. And one man went so far, and I don't think it's just him, he's just the only one who got caught. When his wife would go to sleep and after he drugged her, he was allowing other men to come in and participate in the grape of her. So that says a lot. For that particular man, clearly he doesn't value partnership. He doesn't value his wife as a person. They had children together, so like he doesn't value their children. And it really shows how little respect, not just him, but all 70 of the other men who he had coming into her body for 16 years. That's crazy. I think when women are having this conversation around incels and what incels are and what incels are not and who has access to women, go back to the dating sites for a minute and just remember this. Isn't it like 89% of the users of the dating sites are men? So that means only 11% of the people on the site are women. That means all the men in the world who simply believe they can create a profile and then just go on a date, it doesn't work like that because there's just statistically not enough women for them to do that. And then think about society. Let's say our society is 50% men and 50% women. In the Black community, only, I think it's like 16% of the men are married overall, like total. So what does that leave? Like 34% of the men in the black population are single. I would say 25% of those, it could be more. Maybe like 40% of those men are gay anyway, so you gotta take those out, right? So now what are we? Well, let's just say like 50% of the men are now off limits. And there's another 50%, but that's already taken because the other 50% are in jail or incarcerated. Because in the black community, the school to prison pipeline and the prison industrial complex, people are just saying those things as like token words and talking about the criminality of black males. It's a real thing. Lots of them are locked up. So there's just none left. There's 0% left. So when everyone's telling you these dating stories, go back to the numbers. They're not adding up. I learned this when I was like 19, I think. So a lot of that had to do with why I started looking for single women in the world, specifically black single women in the world, and trying to understand how they were surviving. With the internet now, and specifically that conversation that Melissa Ford and Shannon Boutram had, very useful. Extremely useful. I didn't know Melissa Ford was that like hip. She's very cool. If you haven't seen it, go see it. But there's this other girl, and I can't remember her name, but she keeps popping up on my feed. And I guess a couple weeks ago, she puts out a video that's about like why very successful men are not going to marry the women who are just pretty. And she was kind of talking about assortative mating. I hear her. Okay. That just doesn't apply in the black community. And this girl's black. The very successful black men in the black community in America are breeding themselves out of the race. So they're like marrying non-black women and having biracial children, and none of their children look like them. And we can call them black. People keep posting around Tyreek Withers or something as though he's supposed to be a representation of black people. That's very strange. People keep talking about like, or I'm not going to use that example, but it's the Nick Cannons, it's the Jamie Foxx, it's I don't know, all of them really. I can't even think of one who hasn't done it. The point is like when their children are no longer black, and then there always has to be representation for the 12% of like black people that there are in American society, and that percentage will stay the same because of immigration and other things. Like there's just 100% black people all over the world, and no matter what, like even if all the black Americans today don't reproduce, enough black immigrants who are black from Africa will come and replace them. So the population of black people will always remain at 12%, meaning all of the resources and representation needed for that very small percentage in America is critically important and will always remain. But those wealthy people, men specifically, who aren't their lineage isn't black anymore, they have left the group. So anything that they've done, it doesn't translate anymore to our group. Now they're a part of a new group, like whatever is happening with Zendaya. Now, the reason I always talk about Zendaya and why I don't like Zendaya and I don't identify with Zendaya in any way is because as a black person, I realize that her narrative has nothing to do with mine. I'm a pretty black girl. I'm not a pretty like multiracial girl. I mean, I like some of the talking points of like the exotical community, but I identify as black before I identify as anything else. So, um, it's another reason why I like to listen to Chrissy's channel along with the exotical channel, because I think like 50% of Chrissy's listeners are unattractive, dark-skinned black women, and then there's probably like 50% who are like attractive, dark-skinned black women. The attractive, dark-skinned black women who listen to Chrissy would also benefit from listening to like the brown-skin exotical, because your experiences overlap. So obviously, we've gone back to this a million times, but everyone does not experience or benefit from pretty privilege. So the black girls who do should be paying attention to what Olandria is doing, given Olandria is a black girl who does benefit from pretty privilege. And she's very visible, hyper visible right now, in a very positive way. And she's a dark-skinned black girl. But what Olandria is doing and the lane that Olandria is occupying is a very, very different lane than Zendaya is occupying. And all of the opportunities that she's creating for other dark-skinned black girls specifically will have to be occupied by other dark-skinned black girls who come behind her, and not people like Zendaya. Zendaya has created a lane for herself, but like I could never participate in that lane because I'm nothing like her. But I also realized that I could never participate in the lane that Olandria has created either, because I'm not a dark-skinned black girl, which is another very specific reason why I have created this channel and I continue to make content specifically for me and for girls like me. Like, I am a caramel brown skin black girl. That's a different lane. I also have a cultural and ethnic heritage from a very particular place in Africa, from Ethiopia, right? Like, that's where my dad is from. My mom is from America. I grew up in America. At the same time, every time I find more and more women from Ethiopia, it's very clear they look like me. Those girls look like me. They look like me when I was a child. They look like me now. And it's important for us to occupy space and have a lane too. Like, we don't need to be for everyone, but we are certainly for someone. Like, we are for each other. And so the fact that I've been able to like find and build and participate in community with other women who are like me, who look like me, is so critical. You are so funny. My little baby cat here, he's very funny. I know. Guys, he just had some snacks. He had some chicken pate. So now he's hungry. He's like digesting all the snacks, you know? Jumping about. Anyway, let's go back to this girl who was talking. Okay. So I guess this all started with Emma Gerd in her book tour, her podcast, her basically talking about being hyper successful in corporate America. Important conversation. Like, useful, important conversation. It's great, but like, it just doesn't translate to most women. Most women aren't going to be Emma Gerd. Emma Gerd is pretty. Most women aren't pretty. Most girls aren't going to be her. They can't relate to the story. They can't relate to the lived experiences. Just nothing. So I don't know. Listening to this other chick, and I'm putting all these stories together, and I just wanted to kind of get on a blurb about them. But I'll rewatch this tomorrow, and we'll like zoom in to have the conversation and make this point, drive it home a little bit better. But she's talking about like assortative mating, but doesn't even use the term for assortative mating. And then she's talking about how men are choosing and picking, but like she's not chosen or picked. And then she talked about how like women who are just pretty but who don't have any education aren't going to be selected. And all I see are examples of women who don't have any education being selected. Like it's the whole thing is wrong. There are no, and that's the part I think is very strange. She's giving bad advice, but I see a lot of women listening to her. In the same way that Wizard Liz was giving bad advice, and all the girlies were listening to her. And then I see like all of these like beauty influencers, and I suppose there's a lane for beauty influencers, but all the beauty influencers are seeming to look like Zendaya, and all the supermodels are tending to look more like me. So I'm kind of confused about like what you don't need beauty influencers if you already have models. Like the models wear the makeup and the clothes, and they get the beauty campaigns, and they have Instagram accounts. So why do you need beauty influencers? And I guess this is where it became clear to me, like the whole idea of an influencer was very interesting to me, because I guess I never thought about like what do the other girls in the society do? Like what lane do they hold if certain people already have the spots? And I'm gonna like keep this idea flowing because I want you to stick with me for a minute. I also wondered, like, let's say if I don't occupy any spot, like I'm not someone's wife, I'm not even someone's girlfriend, I'm not a beauty influencer, right? But I'm just like pretty and black, and I also have an American passport, and like, you know, I pay income taxes and shit, like I work in America. I have an apartment, I pay rent, right? It's like I have a real position in society, in this society now. It's not a large position, like I don't have any employees, I'm not really managing anyone else. But my position like matters, and I do have like some choice about what I do, where I go, who I listen to, who I follow, who I communicate with, things like that. And I'm not saying I spend a bunch, but I spend some. Like I'm looking at my like Beyonce Renaissance album over there. I definitely spent cash on that. And it meant something to me. I'm just saying that my very small spot, it does matter. It does matter. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I don't know why these cats like really like to fight each other. It's not kind, Michael. Oh, God. Anyway, so that's the deal. We'll finish this conversation later. Shit.